Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the tutorial for absolute beginners for Fortnite Creative. So I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm here at the Epic Games launcher, and you should first install Fortnite, as you see here. So we're gonna launch, and we're gonna go from there. Alright, so you will be presented with this page, which is the three main game modes in Fortnite. We're gonna head and go to Creative. So after you load into Creative, you're gonna see this is your character, and you're gonna see a message here saying not ready. In order to start to create a new map, you first need to load a server from here. So you're gonna go into the last option, or the option that says start a server, and gonna hit launch. One thing I want to mention is that Fortnite is on mobile, Switch, Xbox, PlayStation 4, PC and Android. So the controls will be different from what I'm showing because I'm on PC right now. If you have a different control scheme, then I'm gonna explain it as generic as I can, and then try to find the controls that best fit to you. You can also remap your controls in some platforms. So here is the Creative Hub. This is an area where you're gonna see featured maps, and this is another featured map, and here this yellow rift is gonna be your own island. So first of all, as you can see, I have a prompt to hold E to change island. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hold E, and in this menu you're gonna see a list of all your islands. So for this we're gonna go to create new. We're gonna start new, and here you'll be presented with a page that shows you all the types of islands that you can create your own map. I also want to mention that there is also a tab called Template Islands, which is basically a tutorial on specific genres that you can make. There's information listed here as well as inside the island, but for now we're gonna stick to starter islands. So for this I'm gonna use a grid island because this is the most generic one. It has nothing, and it has the most space that you can build. It has like 110 tiles, I think, per side, and 90 tiles in height. So it's the biggest island. So here you can rename your island. I'm gonna rename it First Island, and after this you're gonna have to wait a little bit, and once it loads you're gonna see the name you just inputted right here. So now you go in and you're gonna travel to the island we just set. So now basically you're gonna be presented with a game basically where you build. So the controls are, as I've said, they're gonna be different, but the concepts are gonna be the same. So first of all, you're gonna glide down. You have the ability to move your character. I'm using WASD to move my character. You have a pickaxe, which in most cases will be it's not gonna be needed for our purposes, but it's there because of the other modes in Fortnite. The main thing you're gonna need is the phone, and as you can see I have remapped the key, but normally it's gonna be the tilde key, well, the key next to number 1 for PC, but for other platforms you're gonna say which key it's gonna be. So first of all you want to switch to your phone. So now you have the ability to build. This is the tool you're gonna need. So first of all I'm gonna show you the controls of the player. You can jump, and double tapping jump allows you to fly like this. And now using the WASD again, or the movement controls, I can move. Also now the jump key, if you hold it, becomes a key that you can go up, and usually the crouch key is the one that you can fly down. Again, if you want to change the controls, you go to settings, you go to this tab here, and then if you scroll all the way down you're gonna see a tab called Creative, and here you can see all the controls you need for everything that is creative related. So after this you will want to add a prop or a landscape into your map. So to do this you need to open the content browser. For PC it's the tab key, but experiment with your own platform to see which key opens the content tab. This is the content browser. We have 3 main tabs here. My Island is all the settings for the island you're creating. Creative is the tab that will allow you to place down galleries, prefabs, devices, basically logic. Weapons, consumables are tools that the player can use, and we will explain this later. And play is the character you have right now. If you have something equipped, it will show up here. So first of all, I want to show more controls when building before we head into the content browser. So there is another option called quick menu, and for me it's key B. As you can see, it says options. It opens up the quick menu, and these are our additional controls when building. Alright, so let me explain the content browser categories. So first we have prefabs. Prefabs is a list of, let's say, templates that Epic Games created using construction and objects. And these are various examples of what you can build with its category. And it's also presented in a gallery form, which is basically every prop placed next to each other. That will be galleries. So if you want to see how things are made, use prefabs. If you want to grab a specific prop, use galleries. Then we have devices, which devices is basically gameplay logic within Fortnite Creative. And here you can find things to do various things, like have the player respawn or give them equipment, give them special properties, vehicles, zones for killing the player, consumables, items, you name it. Then we have weapons, which are a list of weapons that I'm gonna show you later how you can give those to the player. Consumables are some sort of tool set, and you can give those to the player to do various things. And lastly, there is a chest, which is basically you can use any other thing, like say you want a shotgun, you can also add to a chest, which is basically a container of stuff. You can say some bullets as well, and then you can create a chest which the player can open, and it will have everything you just placed. So you can either double click to equip it, you're gonna hear the sound effect, or you can hit equip here. So now you have equipped the gallery, but you may not see it straight away, and that's because you need to switch back to your pickaxe. As you can see, I have the number 1 key set to my pickaxe, so I'm gonna press it, and now you're gonna see the gallery on the right side on the number 2. It's gonna be part of my inventory. So I switched to it by either using the mouse wheel or pressing the number 2, and then I hold left click, and then it's like a grenade basically. You can throw it anywhere you want, but it will snap to one tile, like the snapping, and it will show you the distance it's gonna take when it's placed. So you don't want the distance to overlap something else, because the props are gonna appear inside each other. So I'm gonna place it here by releasing the left key, the left mouse button, sorry. And now this is an example of a gallery. So now I'm gonna switch back to my phone, and now as you can see I can hover on props, and by clicking left mouse button I can select one prop. When working with props, you can either copy or you can cut. Each platform has its own keys for doing so feel free to experiment to see which button does it for you. Now you're gonna notice that there is no grid, or the snapping on the grid is a little bit small, and that means that the prop is not actually construction, it's a prop. So that might not make sense, but if you go to quick menu, there is a setting here called building to prop. If you have this on, everything you select is going to be considered by the engine of Fortnite as a prop. If you switch this to off, and I go to select the prop again, Now you're gonna see it's gonna snap to a tile. And that means that this prop now has gravity. And what I mean by gravity is that if I make a structure and I have gravity enabled, say I make this little tower here, if I delete, by deleting by the way it's X for me, but you can see on the left side all the controls. If I delete the base structure of a structure that has gravity, it's gonna get destroyed. However, if I switch back to prop and everything is now considered a prop, and I do the same thing, first of all you're gonna see it's not gonna snap the same, but let's pretend I do the same thing. I'm gonna explain how we can snap it better later. So say I do the same thing now, and then I delete this. You see, now props do not have any gravity associated with them, but there is no tell currently, so you have to be careful. Sometimes if you delete something and gravity is affecting the entire structure, it might collapse the entire thing, so be careful when deleting. Make sure you always know the difference between a prop and construction. Alright, so now to move on, we're gonna go to snapping. So snapping is basically the difference of where the tile is gonna move when you move. So in order to toggle snap, as you can see there is a button on the left side that says grid snap. If I hit grid snap, it's gonna snap to a different grid. Off means no grid. So 16 is the smallest grid at the moment, and it can go up to 1. This is 1. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna explain is collision. It's another option located in the quick menu called collision. Collision to nothing means what I have selected is not gonna collide with anything. Everything wins, anything close to the prop is gonna collide with it. And then terrain means it's only gonna collide with the terrain which is the base surface. In other islands, mountains and cliffs are also considered as terrain. So let me show you an example. We have this, and now we're on terrain. I'm gonna remove the grid snap so it's easier to understand. You see, like when I move, it will snap to terrain. It won't let me go under it or overlap it. Whereas if I set it to nothing, I can go inside the terrain. Alright, so the next thing I'm gonna show is a player control. So phasing. Phasing is this option here in movement. So what phasing means is like no clip. So like as you can see, I can go through the ground. With phasing off, as you can see, the player is not highlighted anymore. So now I cannot go through props. And phasing is very useful when you're going through your builds and trying to build stuff, because you don't have to open doors and go through rooms. And the last thing I'm gonna show from the controls before we move into the props is flight speed. Flight speed is very important because it lets you traverse your map very fast. So you might have a flight speed of 1 at default, and if you move, you're gonna see the difference. Like I'm not moving very fast, but the sprint key in Fortnite will also allow you to go a little bit faster if you hold it down, and that also counts when you walk. So when I walk, this is the normal speed, and this is without sprint. And the same happens with while flying. So you may want to use a flight speed of 3 when you're going around the stage and you like want to sprint around, grab something, place it somewhere else. However, you may want to be on flight speed 0.5 when you're doing fine-tuning and want to quick place something in with precision. Like say you want to place like this a little bit exactly above it, or like move it a little bit higher. You see, like the amount the character moves with the prop is affected by flight speed. So depending on what you want to do, make sure to change that setting. So the next thing I'm gonna show is how we manipulate props. I'm gonna switch back to, say, flight speed 2, 1.5. So I'm gonna switch to grid snap 2, and I'm gonna place a few props here. So in order to rotate a prop, there is, as you can see on the left side, you can rotate clockwise and anti-clockwise with another button. Bear in mind that 4 times is 90 degrees. So if I rotate 4 times, I will rotate 90 degrees. However, this is only when the grid snap is enabled. If I take the grid snap off and then I try to rotate, then it's freeform rotation. Another thing you may want to know is that rotation is relative to how the prop is rotated. So say if I have a prop that is rotated like this, and if I grab it again and switch to rotation axis to yaw, by the way, this is the tab key for me, and I rotate in the yaw direction, it will rotate in relation to how I look at it, not where the prop is looking at. So a tip is, if you want something rotated on the cardinal axis, then you first snap it to the grid, rotate it based on what you want. And now if you want to rotate on base where the prop is facing, you select it again and rotate from that point. Now if you have a prop and you don't like this rotation, you want to return back to the cardinal, if you want to return back to how it was, you select it and then you hold down the rotation key, which is gonna reset it. So now I'm gonna create a template here, a little area, so we can test more mechanics that are gameplay related. You can also hold down the build button to build faster if you want. Right clicking makes the prop go away, the one that you have selected. So here I'm clicking and holding, and now I hit right click to deselect. So now we have a basic area. I'm gonna show you now how you can spawn your players. So in order to use any gameplay in your map, you have to again go to the content browser in Creative, and then you go to Devices. This is everything that is gameplay related, and you can either click a category here, which in our case is going to be player, or you can say show all and try to find it from here. And these are all the devices. So I'm gonna go to player, and then I'm gonna hit the player spawn. The player spawn is gonna be where the player is gonna spawn when the game starts. So in order to place a player spawn, I need to switch to my pickaxe first, and then you're gonna see on the traps, which is F5 for me, it's gonna be on the lower right corner. You're gonna see I have 5 player spawners. So if I hit F5, it's gonna give me the ability to build the player spawner. So I'm gonna place one here. Any device that has options can be customized. You can see the prompt in front of me. So when I hit it, I'm gonna be presented with this menu. Now this menu has 2 tabs that you wanna use. Basic options is gonna be the default one when you enter the map, and then we want to go to all options if you want to see everything. You want to stick to basic options if you're a beginner and you want to learn the basics first, and then once you're confident enough, you can go to all options. So for here, now we have a player spawn set up. So I'm gonna stop flying, and I'm gonna go to menu. I'm gonna press start game. Now when I start game, I'm gonna spawn here, and you can end the game by hitting this button. Now if I didn't do that, if I didn't have a player spawn and then I started the game, I would spawn in the sky. Now if that's the thing you don't want to do, you use player spawns. But you can also let the player spawn in the sky if that's what you want. You can double press space to leave glide mode, by the way. Alright, so now I'm gonna place it back, and then I'm gonna place an item spawner. So item spawners will spawn an item for the player to have. So I'm gonna go to item, and there are two types of item spawners. There are item spawners that stick to the grid, similar to the place spawner we placed, or there are item spawners that are props and can be placed anywhere. I'm gonna use the item spawner that is a prop because it's the newest one. It's a little bit better than the old one. So now I placed it, and now this is a different type of a device. Now this device accepts a weapon or a consumable. In order to place something here for the player to have once they begin, I will go to weapons, for example. Let's give him a weapon. Let's give him a pistol. So I'm gonna select the pistol and I'm gonna equip. Now because this is a weapon and it's the same with consumables, now when you have an item or a weapon equipped, it's similar to how you had a grenade before that you could throw, but this one, it actually works in edit mode. So you have to be careful not to destroy your structures in edit mode because they can be affected by bullets and destruction. Same with the pickaxe. So if I want to drop the weapon here for the device to have, I have to go to this new tab here called play, which is basically what my character has at this moment. So as you remember, we had the player spawners on us when we place the player spawn. So I want to go here to the equipment and I want to drag this into the screen, or you can also hit drop, and this will drop the weapon into the device. Now if you've done it correctly, after a few seconds you're gonna see the weapon in the device. So here are the settings. You can set the time before the first spawn and between the spawns, meaning when you get the weapon, how much time it takes to spawn again. I'm gonna set those to instant. So now when I start the game, the weapon is gonna appear there. And pressing the pickup button will allow me to get it on my inventory and shoot. Now I'm gonna show you how to create a basic objective in the game. With a basic objective, once you complete it, it's gonna end the game. There are multiple ways to end the game. To see which ways you can end the game, you can go to My Island, Game, and then you have this page here, which is on the center of the page. And you have eliminations to end, which means other players. You have creature eliminations, which creatures are basically enemies. They're computer controlled enemies within Fortnite. Then we have objectives, which is basically devices that you can break. And then we have pickups. And lastly you have score, which can be awarded through various devices. I'm gonna first head to creative. I'm gonna go to objective category and I'm gonna select collectibles. I'm gonna swap to my inventory and drop it here. Now you're gonna see many collectibles, We don't want to use anything but the coin, so I'm gonna delete the rest. So now we have a coin here. I'm gonna right click to cut it. I'm gonna rotate it 4 times, so I rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm gonna place it. Normally I was about to place it 5 times, but it's easier to first tweak the first coin with all the settings and then copy, because all the settings inside the coin are gonna copy as well. So what we want is we're gonna have this give 1 score to the player when they collect it, and you wanna set this to anyone so it works for all teams. If you're playing cooperative and somebody collects 1 coin and it doesn't count for you, then you're gonna be locked out of the game basically. So you wanna set this to anyone. I'm gonna also go ahead on the game and I'm gonna set this to cooperative, so everybody's on the same team. So now I'm gonna copy 5 times. However, I'm gonna show you a new process of copying stuff, which is called multi-select. Now instead of just copying the prop 5 times, I'm gonna go and hit the select button, which, as you can see on the left, it's the R button for me. So now you're gonna see the prop turn green. I'm gonna do the same thing here, and I will also do the same for the floor. Now this, in order to work, make sure you have built-in to prop to off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy, and now all 3 props are gonna be copied, and when I place, it's gonna place them exactly in the grid where I had them before. So this is a useful technique, and you can do this with as many props as you want. You can even hold the select button, and that will make it so that you are way faster than just doing it one by one. So I'm gonna place here, and we want to go to my island on game, and score to end, I'm gonna set it to 5. So if we start game now, this is our end condition. This is how games end. So you can also edit this if you want, but these are more advanced settings. One thing I wanna show before we end is if you go to UI and you go to HUD game info, you can set this to score, and that means that when you start the game, you can see on the right side I have a new HUD now that says 0 out of 5, and this is based on the winning condition. So when I click when I pick up 1 coin, this will increase. And this is a nice way of showing the player their objective, what they have to do. Anyway, that is all for now. If you enjoyed this or it was helpful to you, let me know down in the comments. And if you want something more covered, again, let me know. Thanks and have a nice day. Bye.